welcome back to Cinematic Universe, everyone. My name is Ernesto Martinez, and joining me again is one of our favorite participants in these reviews is Damon Hawk. How are you, man?
I'm good, man.
Alright, so we live in the digital age, as it seems. And sometimes in this era of ours, it's very difficult to keep things secret for too long. One of which being a pilot episode as opposed to debut later in the fall and not early in the summer. And that pilot is for the Supergirl TV show. Well, it's out there and of course we're going to see it. I mean, it's right there. I mean, it's like dangling a piece of steak in front of our faces. I mean, we're not trained to not eat it. We're only trained to think about eating it.
Pretty sure it was leaked intentionally.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that makes sense, man. I mean, they put out the 6-minute sizzle reel, and a lot of people were, oh, man, it looks like a chick flick. This was a very, very easy way to kind of set those people's mind at ease. And, I mean, it gets people talking about it. When the Flash pilot was leaked last year, a lot of people were concerned that would take away from viewership. It did not. Flash had higher numbers than any other show on the CW. Mm-hmm. So it made a good amount of sense. Shut some of the naysayers up. Give all of us that have been waiting to see it a chance to see it. Yeah. What'd you think?
I was surprised at how much I liked it. I mean, as far as pilot goes, because the pilot's job is supposed to set up everything. That is going to set up the tone, set up the main characters that you're going to see and experience for the next 2, 3, and if lucky, 5 seasons. Hopefully when they actually debut, they can at least do a 2-hour premiere where they have the pilot and the second episode.
That would be cool. That would be a really nice idea.
Because at least that way they won't lose any viewership.
Yeah.
Whether they would or wouldn't have. The trailer didn't exactly convey this show as much as it could have. Because when I saw the trailer for the first time, the first thing that popped into my head was, this feels like Ugly Betty, but with superpowers. And
I think that's being overly harsh, man. I liked Ugly Betty.
I'm not saying it as a negative, but that was the feel I was getting, that this feels like Ugly Betty, like the way the sets are, the way her character is introduced as an assistant, walking down the street and, trying to please her boss and everything, stuff like that. That was the vibe I'm getting. I'm like, okay, well, this is looks like it's just geared for a female demographic audience that has a little bit of hijinks, whatnot, and God knows what else.
And a lot of female-led, power ballady, CW-sounding music. That was my biggest problem. But that's my biggest problem with so much of the promotion that goes on these days. They think they can throw some vocalizing in. I'm so sick of vocalizing. Throw some vocalizing in front of something, and that's it. That's all you need. Right.
And when you see the opening, which is going to tell the origin of Kara Zor-El, Kara Zor-El. Gotta pronounce these names the way they should, otherwise I'm gonna get a headache.
She's got heat vision, man. She could melt your face off if you don't do it right.
Yeah. They don't bother staying on the origin story for Superman when he was a baby, but they use his backstory to catapult her backstory, which is, okay, she's being sent to Earth to watch over him, and just like her comic book series origin story, she arrives after Clark Kent does.
Right.
And by whatever means, because many of the character iterations have always found any other means to make sure that this character is not as old as she should be when she arrives to Earth, but young enough to the point that wherever she was, it was in suspended animation, and she hasn't aged a day of her life.
Right.
So when we get all that out of the way, it's fine, okay, there we go, the setup, and then we get to the meat of it. We get all the other characters, if you've read any of the Superman comics, then you know who Jimmy Olsen is, you know who Cat Grant is, and you know who the Toyman is, which I'm forgetting his actual name. I know it's William something, but I'm going to refer to him as Toyman from now on. So far, yeah, not a bad, introduction to the character, although I think the character of Cat Grant could have been done a little less bitchy and more, okay, she may be a complete but she's at least likable, and she isn't. I mean, not yet.
Yeah, I think they were going out of their way to really take things to extremes. I mean, Cat is very very vain, very concerned with image, um, and I kind of felt like, I mean, I'm scared to death of Callista Flockhart. Because she's got so much plastic going on in that face. I'm afraid that if she gets too close to the window, she might spontaneously combust or something. But I felt like she played the character pretty well. And Kat's gone through different iterations. She's been in iterations where she wasn't as bitchy, and she's been in some where she's just fierce. I mean, scary. And so I thought it was a good start. I think she'll be a strong character, strong actress to have on the show. I was really pleased with James Olsen. James Olsen.
James.
I thought he was lended a lot of I don't know what the word is I'm looking for here, but whatever it is, he lent a lot of that. He kind of legitimized the story for me, having him there.
Yeah, Makehead Brooks.
Yep.
All right, so you and I talked about this guy. I mean, well, I kind of brought it up to you like a couple days before finding out that the episode leaked. At the time that they announced they was going to play Jimmy Olsen, I was kind of taking back. Okay, well, they want to go for diversity. Okay, there's nothing, that we can do about it. Just accept it and go with it. But I was always thinking about why him. I mean, I understand if you're going to diversify, fine, but he looks like a complete opposite of the Jimmy Olsen character. I mean, yes, skin color is black, but the Jimmy Olsen character is one of those, like, very upbeat, very, 20-ish, just leaving teenagers kind of attitude, kind of a person. Like, you're like, oh, Jilly Wee's Superman or something like that, but I'm not expecting that kind of a dialogue, but I'm expecting that kind of upbeat attitude. And here he's, like, very reserved, very, like, gentleman-like, and he has that, like, deep voice, gravitas to him and all that. So
Right.
I always, before finding out that the pilot episode leaked, I came to you and I told you, you know what? I think casting him specifically was so that he can emulate the Superman character for the Supergirl character. And we got just that.
Well, and it makes sense too, because he's arguably spent more time with Superman than a lot of people have. He's also been given the opportunity to grow up, and we haven't had to witness his humble beginnings as an aw shucks kind of photographer of the great metropolitan newspaper. He's paid his dues, and he's an art director now, and I think it's a cool direction to go in, and I think the actor does a really good job of kind of grounding him a little bit, which is it's got to be nice for everybody who's ever played Jimmy Olsen to say, hey, Jimmy Olsen gets to grow up, man. That's so great. I was actually kind of hoping, since we got the Danvers connection here, that they would actually give her the... in Peter David's run of Supergirl, back in the late 90s, I guess it was, Supergirl was actually kind of a creation of Lex Luthor, called Matrix, and she bonded with the dying Linda Danvers character, and so she actually became Supergirl. And she didn't just take off glasses and whatnot. It was a physical change, and when they said that they were going to go with the character of Danvers, even going so far as to have Dean Cain play her father, Fred Danvers, and Helen Slater to play Sylvia Danvers, which are those comic book parents. Those are their names. I thought that that's what they would do. And it's a very small thing, but I liked the idea of her not being Kara or Kara in her secret identity.
Mm-hmm.
It works. I mean, it's fine. You know, it's one of those little gripes that a lot of people could get bent out of shape about.
My introduction to Supergirl was with the Superman animated TV series, where Superman finds an abandoned facility that where he discovered his cousin in a pod.
Right.
That's my Supergirl. That's always been my Supergirl and always will be my Supergirl. This very young, bubbly attitude, high strung, wants to not be grounded by authority, but wants to, be out there helping, exploring the world. And when push comes to shove, she will, rise to the occasion and save the world. That's my Supergirl. What's the actress name playing a Supergirl?
Melissa Benoist? I don't know if that's an appropriate pronunciation of her last name.
Another Glee alumni taking the reins of a DC character.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I give Glee so much shit, but so far they've been able to produce 2 actors that have done pretty darn good.
I was nervous as hell when he was first cast because I watched Glee. I watched Glee. I was always very high on Glee, and even when they started sucking, I still watched the show. I watched it all the way to the end, and I was nervous about him playing Barry, but everything that I read, all his interviews and stuff, kind of put me a little bit at ease. And then of course he came in and knocked the shit out of it, so he was fine. Now Melissa, on the other hand, as soon as they said that she was cast, that's perfect. She's great. Because, dude, she's just beautiful. She's wholesome. She's very, very, very natural and comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that's why she got cast, man. She's got a great way about her. And it comes across in this.
I loved her here. Everything I could have wanted to see for Kara right there. From that big dumb grin that she has sometimes to, when adversity hits and she's like, okay, I can do this and all that stuff. That was great casting. I have some nitpicks with the costume they gave her. The only thing that I would have done differently is made the cape shorter.
The cape doesn't seem to be anchored terribly well. And I don't know, this is specifically at the end when she flies off with the cape that Jimmy gives to her. It looks like it's just kind of haphazardly on there, and I don't know if I'm hoping that will be that maybe that was like, oh, I wanna try this shit out real quick and out some clothespins on here. I'm hoping that it'll be anchored a little bit better. I don't know. I didn't have a whole lot of issues with that. I liked the color, the fact that it wasn't super, super dark. I also like the fact that, it's pretty much the traditional Supergirl costume. It looks really good. Minor gripes. Mm-hmm. Minor gripes are really all I've got with this. Yeah. I feel like we've also got her... let's see, we've got Jimmy Olsen, we got Cat Grant, we've got Kara Danvers, we got her sister Alex Danvers, who also works for the DEO with Hank Henshaw, who is the future...
I like him.
Yeah.
He's an asshole, but he's a good kind of asshole.
Yeah, he's like the asshole that, you kind of respect. And, he says something to Alex like, you got your job because of your sister. You get to keep your job because you're good at it. Blah, 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 that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, you don't like him, but you kind of like him. Yeah. But yeah, he's a good actor. He's a good future, and it's interesting to me. They've obviously figured out have a guy on the team that's kind of gruff and will probably eventually be a villain. I mean, we got that with Harrison Wells, and now this guy who is pretty much the future cyborg Superman.
Exactly.
I also think it's really interesting. I think it's kind of cool too, but you start off Arrow, my name is Oliver Queen. You start off Flash, my name is Barry Allen. You start off Supergirl, my name is Kara Zor-El. I mean, I like it, but it's kind of kitschy. It's kind of silly.
And the last thing we can mention is that this pilot episode doesn't waste time, because it shows you who's going to be the overarching villain for the series to go, at least for the first season. You have alien characters that come from the Phantom Zone, who, much like Superman and Supergirl, they're one of those species that if they come in contact with a yellow sun, they're going to have strong powers and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to play a major part, so I can't wait for that. I mean, hopefully that they'll make it very interesting. You know, it's a gripe, it's a nitpick, and I get it. It's a show where the lead character is a super powerful woman, and they're going to use that as kind of a message to its demographic that they're going for. But you can do that without hammering it in. And they kind of do that in a few scenes, like, she's not strong enough. Oh, why? Because she's a girl? That's part of our strategy. I'm like, you could have said that a little bit better. Or where Supergirl, where Kara, where she finds out that her boss, Cat Grant, labeled her as Supergirl, and she had a problem with it. It's like, look at this powerful woman, and you label her as a girl, not a woman. Stuff like that. It's just like, I get what they were going for, but they hammered it so much that I'm like, okay, guys, let's pedal the brakes on the feminist train here a bit, because it's not working for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I felt. I mean, maybe somebody else didn't feel like that, but it was like, all right, we get it. You don't have to be so high-strung about it. We're on board. We know where you're going. We're going to be with you until your last episode. Calm down.
Yeah, I think pilot episodes, along with everything else, they kind of have to kind of set the tone. And there are so many that come in and are, kind of just middle of the road. The ones that really bring it have a tendency to kind of overdo it a little bit, because, why not? And I totally see what you're saying, and I kind of agree with that. But I think that will lessen. I think that's, kind of, we're going to be heavy-handed right now about this. And just remember that we were, and then later on, we may reference that, or we may not. Who knows? I'm really excited about it. I think they'll most likely have a hit on their hands. I hope CBS supports it. It's not their usual brand of show. It's not a procedural. It's not about cops. It's not about firemen or lawyers or shit like that. It's a superhero, and I hope that the viewers respond to it well, and I hope that it does. I hope it does good.
Okay, well, Damon, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you and hopefully Glenn by the time this show starts. We might need a third voice for this, because God knows we know Glenn loves Supergirl.
Yeah, I'm anxious to hear what Glenn has to say about it, because he's got a lot of background, a lot of information.
All right, well, take care, guys, and thanks for joining us. You can follow me on Twitter at MartinezXYZ, and you can find me on YouTube at Cinematic Universe Ultimate. Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Guys.